Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Social Worker and the Mentor. Yes, today is a special episode. The people have been talking, yeah? They've been inboxing myself and Nana, WhatsApping me, LinkedIn, text messages. We're going to events.
Yeah.
And they've been saying, you guys are not doing enough education topic of conversation episodes. I'm like, right, what do you mean? But you know, I have to apologize, and I'll tell you the reason why. So when we first started this podcast, it is called the Education and Social Care Podcast. And, you know, unfortunately, I've been kind of busy. And, you know, Nana has done a lot of social worker content, which has been absolutely amazing. It's been educational for myself, for all the professionals and the practitioners who also, you know, we can see what social workers deal with on a daily basis, but also as well to understand what they go through as well. But can't forget education. Are you mad? Education. No. Can't forget education. Education. Do you know? I'm going to ask my guests anyway what they think about education. But yes, listen. This is the start of many episodes of education. We're going to have teaching assistants. I've got lined up head teachers, SLT, science teachers, maths teachers, S.E.N teachers, Senkos, inclusion officers, you name it, I've got it. Yeah, they're all coming on. Panels. By the way, my two guests, the mood's right, one's smiling.
I'm always smiling, I hope.
Got my guy with me.
Come on.
And my sister, yes. And yeah, so guy, listen, welcome to my two guests. Nana, and she's going to kill me if I don't get it right, Nasha.
And he said it wrong again.
Oh my God, how embarrassing you know.
Nyasha.
Nyasha.
Yeah.
Nyasha. Yeah.
Or you can call me Nasha.
Nasha, right. See, people, you must get people's name right, you know. Yeah, you understand, yeah? If you don't, yeah? Right. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming today, right? Yeah, I really appreciate you both attending. This has been long overdue.
Facts.
I'm here to learn from you guys. I'm here to get into your world. And listen, a lot's happened in our line of work, in our sector, you know, the education sector, whether it be local authority or within the education environment. So much has happened. These guys will be coming back again. This isn't the first time, so get used to their faces. There's a lot going on in terms of what they do. They both do phenomenal work. And who would like to start first?
Ladies first.
Okay, ladies first.
Ladies first, come
You
on.
can't say that now. You've got to be careful.
I know, actually, you're right. Let me not get cancelled on your show.
What do you want to know?
Okay, right. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to big up the Teachers Podcast.
Yeah, the teacher surgery.
Yeah? My gosh, the Teacher Surgery Podcast. That's another L, you know? Yeah, it's another L, you know? The Teacher Surgery Podcast is an amazing podcast. And do you know what, right? Yeah, this is me being honest. I don't listen to a lot of teacher podcasts.
Yeah.
But number one, because they're not as popular as we think. There probably is, yeah. But I remember seeing you guys' podcast. I was like, rah, this is all right. Do you know what I mean? But you know what it is? It was quite relatable.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm thinking, I like you guys' energy, the way you're bouncing off each other. And it was almost like I could relate to what you guys go through because I've worked in a school. But what I liked more than anything else is that you've created a platform to give teachers an opportunity to say how they feel, what it's like, you know, on the job, mentally, emotionally. And you've got some great guests that come on. So why did you start the platform?
So it's a bit of a journey, but initially I started the journey with one of my close friends. She was actually an assistant head. And I just sort of said, look, I've got this idea. I want to do this kind of consultancy and I want to, you know, I really feel the need for parents to understand what's going on in school. And she agreed and we were sort of sitting down planning out how we were going to do things, not knowing that unfortunately she was battling with depression. And unfortunately, she took her own life.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Right.
So, and she took her own life in 2017.
Oh, right.
And for me, that the vision just shut down. I just said, I'm not. But I just felt really strong in me that like I felt like God was just saying to me, this is your vision.
Yeah.
You know, you need to do something with it. So for a while, I just didn't really bother, and it was still at the back of my mind, still teaching, doing what I was doing. And then I met up with some other teachers that I had worked with previously. So I met up with Rima, and I just told her, and she just said, Nash, let's do this. Like, why don't we do like a podcast? Let's get, because at that time now, around 2017, 18, podcasts had started, you know, becoming a thing.
Yeah.
And she said, look, I know this teacher. She got Amber. Amber then said, I know this other teacher. And then it just became this thing. And then I was like, oh, I know this teacher. And I just was able to build up a team, and we all sat down. There was quite a few of us at the time. And then we did our first episode because we all had the same vision. It was so amazing. We all had the same vision that we wanted parents to have an understanding of what's going on in school. Because a lot of the time, parents feel intimidated by teachers because they don't understand the language that they're speaking. A lot of the time, especially if the parent is, maybe English isn't their first language. Even when English is their first language, you know, they just feel, or they've had really negative experiences in school and they hate school. And so we just all had that vision. And then from there, we just decided, you know what, let's do this. And it's just a small extension of what we do, because we also are out on the ground as well, helping parents as well.
Okay.
So yeah, and then from there, that's how I sort of collected who I used to get on with in certain jobs and teachers, and who were like-minded.
Yeah.
And then from there, that's
no. Listen, as I said, for me, for someone who used to work in the school, for me, it's an amazing platform. Listen, when I mean the logo, the teacher surgery logo, the hoodie, I want one of them hoodies, you know.
I know.
Listen,
I wanted to tell you about that.
No. But guess what? That's all part of it, though.
Yeah.
How you brand it, how you market it, you know, the people on there, how they conduct themselves, how they articulate themselves. I'm not just saying this, right? Yeah. It's amazing, right? Yeah. And
I also wanted to say that we also didn't want to come across, you know, we could have come with our blazers, we could have come with our
that's what
I just said no. That's, parents are tired of seeing teachers in suits. That's not what, you know, that's not the platform we want. So we all come, like you can see my baseball cap is, you know, a trademark, but we all come naturally with our normal clothes. Sorry? You make it relatable. Yeah, and we have guests on there who are people who you wouldn't think teachers would be having them as guests. We often don't have professional guests in terms of educational guests. We have rappers on there. We have ex-roadmen on there. You know, people who've been in influence somehow and they've now changed. Mentors who were somebody in the community. Is there a reason for that, or? Yeah, there's a big reason. I just felt very strong that if we had a lot of if we had lots of professors and lots of head teachers and assistant head teachers, people wouldn't necessarily listen. Okay. But if you're seeing, so we've had guests like Justo, we've had Tricky, we've had Cliche, we've had Beans, we've had quite a few, and we've got a lot of other people who come. We've had Maxwell D as well. When people see that, they're more prone to say, "Oh, what are they doing?" And then they listen to their school journey. Right. And a lot of them have had negative school journeys, so they challenge us as well. It's amazing though. Yeah. Do you know it's like when you deep it, we've all been to school, innit? We've all been to school. Like from the person on the road, whether you're famous in government, everyone's gone to school. So that's quite unique what you're doing, because everyone's got like a memory of school, whether it's good or bad, or they've been the class clown or the troublemaker. Do you know what I mean? And everything. So that's phenomenal. So Nana, right?
Replacing Nana.
Yes.
Other Nana.
So what about yourself, Nana? What can you tell the audience about yourself? So I know is it Nana S.E.N?
Yep.
So can you tell our audience a bit about what you do and how you got into it and how you started it?
So I've got a organization called S.E.N
Okay.
So it's a consultancy organization that basically I work with and support with any agency that engages with children with special educational needs.
Okay.
So from schools, local authorities, care homes. I've actually got 2 care homes that I'm dealing with now.
Okay.
Dealing with families as well. So helping them in a range of ways, whether it's applying for educational healthcare plan or just being that bridge between them and the school. Because like you mentioned, there's like a language that is quite complex in education, especially in special educational needs as well.
Yeah.
So that's my business that I do. I've started. It's been going for 3 months now. It's been quite all right. I've got a few, I built up a few clients over time, and obviously I've engaged and I've networked with people like yourself, Nana S.E.N Theteachersurgery. Obviously I've been on their platform as well. I'm on your platform today. So it's starting to pick up pace. And outside of that, I still work. So I work for a local authority. So I'm a senior manager there.
Oh, amazing.
So I manage a preparing for adulthood team.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was a service manager in another local authority. But because I decided to set up my own business, I took a step down to do this. It's still senior management, but it's not. It's a level down just so I can focus on trying to build this up. And depending where it goes, I might step back up or even go down even further if S.E.N continues to grow and get bigger and better.
Yeah.
So I've been working in special educational needs for about coming up to 12 years now.
Okay. Yeah. It's amazing, man.
Yeah. So for 12 years, but I started on the ground. Working in special needs schools. So I worked in 2 special needs schools across the span of 3 years. In between that time, I've done a master's in special educational needs as well.
Amazing, man. Amazing.
But I was at a crossroads because I was looking at going into teaching. But then I decided, you know what, let me leave that and pivot into something else. So I finished my master's in special needs, not knowing what I was going to do. And it was weird because it felt like going back to square one. Because when I finished my undergrad degree, when I left, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right, okay.
So twice I was like, I remember I called my lecturer and I said, what can I do with this S.E.N degree?
What's the next move?
She couldn't even give me an answer.
Seriously?
She couldn't give me an answer. So what I done was, I was hungry because I was like, now I'm like 23. I'm like 23, 24. Like, I need money now. I can't just be, no disrespect to teaching assistants because the money wasn't that great for me. I need to level up. All my age mates, they're working in Canary Wharf. This working in Liverpool Street. This one telling me they're getting bonus. I was I need to do something. So I remember I went on Google and I Googled every single council in London. And I basically formulated an email and I emailed all of them the same email saying that I've done a degree in special educational needs. I've got experience as a teaching assistant in a 2 special schools. Basically, I'm here for you. What can you give me? And then one local authority come back to me out of like the 40 came saying that they've got a role as a S.E.N case officer.
Oh, that's amazing, man.
And I applied for it, got the job, and that's just how my journey started.
Do you know what I love about this, right? Yeah. So we have a lot of followers who are university students. You know, so for you university students who, you know, you're not sure about what to do or how to get yourself out there, Nana is a prime example. So you heard what he done. He formulated an email or like an email letter. And he sold himself. And he said, yo, listen, this is what I can do. This is what I can bring to the table. Can you give me a chance, right? So that's amazing, man. I'm so happy to hear that, you know.
Thanks, man.
It's amazing, man.
Like literally because, and I knew people that were teachers, but I didn't know anybody that was doing anything outside of the classroom. And I don't know why. I convinced myself there must be something outside of the classroom specific to education, and I found it. Do you guys think that sometimes, for example, there are a lot of teachers who have a teacher qualification? So let's say, a teacher's got a teacher qualification, so they're a teacher, but then obviously inside the teacher qualification, you might be SLT or the head of year 9. Do you find that people find it difficult to pivot or to change job with their teacher qualification? Because I find teachers, they're very often in schools for a long period of time. I know some teachers, they've been in the school for like 10 years, 9 years. I'm like, 10 years of it? Do you understand? So do you find it
that's quite common within the industry where they just settle rather than
think-
grow.
I would say, so I'm actually an English language teacher, and it's secondary school, language and literature. And I think, where there's been times where I've thought, okay, right, I don't think I want to teach anymore. Thinking, but what can I do?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what can I do? You know, I'm so frightened of, okay, is it just journalism that I can only do? And I think you can get stuck in, because you then think, okay, maybe I'm just going to do, all right, let me do private tuition. It's still always based around
Teaching.
somehow
Teaching,
this
yeah,
English degree, teaching.
Curriculum.
And so you can feel, you know, people always make this joke and say English teachers are failed actors. You know, they wanted to be.
Why do they say that?
they say that's why they're so miserable, because they wanted to be actors or actresses, and then in the end, it never worked out for them. English teachers and drama teachers, that's what they always say, and so in the end, they ended up having to. So yeah, I do think, but I think it depends on the subject. So example, if you're a sports teacher, then you've got PE, then you've got quite a wide field. You can football train. You can do a lot of things, I think. And if you're a maths or ICT, I mean, if you're an ICT teacher, there's a lot more. But I think it can be difficult, and I think people get stuck in there.
Because in my field, so I deal with recruitment as well. So hiring, whether it's a EHCP, case officer or a plan writer, or just somebody within our field, even if someone on my level, like management level. So we do get CVs and we see that some of them have got teaching experience. But the thing is, from a local authority perspective, you got a lot of transferable skills in terms of education. However, the setting environment that we are at is completely different to being in a classroom. So a lot of them, we do consider their applications, but we know you got the qualifications. We know that you're obviously dedicated, you're hardworking, you've got a lot of experience in in education, but in terms of SEN specifically, because we're dealing with the funding, there's a lot of politics. You deal with parents a lot in a very different way. You have to make a lot of like massive decisions, even sometimes around safeguarding. So for example, a young person is having issues at a specific school, they got special educational needs, they're being targeted for whatever reason. You have to make a quick decision to actually move them from that school to another school. If you've been teaching a class of 30 kids for 5 years, that's great. But in terms of what we're doing here, it's quite different. And the only thing I want to say is that with us, the one thing I think is a bit of a flaw in the system is that to work on this side of the local authority in special needs, you don't need a formal qualification. So if you want to be a teacher, you have to do a PGC.
Yeah, that's right.
If you want to be a lawyer, you have to do a law degree. You have to do like the LPC, and they have to do like the 2 years training, I think. So if you want to be a social worker, you have to do a social worker degree. What I've done, I've got a master's in special needs. So that's kind of helped me move up. But a lot of the people that are beneath me or there's no specific pathway into it, so it's hard to pivot.
Because I was going to say just, you know, because I'm now in special needs, really. I mean, I teach students, because I'm no longer in the classroom. So I'm now teaching students who don't have placements in schools.
Right, okay.
So that can be a variation of special needs. And it can also be kids who've been expelled, or who are in gangs, or it was the last straw, so they could have even been excluded from a SEMH school or pupil referral units. And you find, so I'm now dealing with a lot more special needs students. So the role of a teacher, I was just going to say, even when you're teaching 30 students, because you've got maybe 10 kids in there have got SEN, you're now becoming more aware and now having to teach. So you're becoming more experienced with dealing with SEN, whether you like it or not. Unless you're teaching in a private school that doesn't deal with, and even like within a private school, there's maybe one kid, even though there's a lot more, but you know, one kid. So I think most teachers now are the role is changing.
Yeah. Do you see the difference? Because we'll probably do this for another episode, yeah. But SEN children and obviously teaching, you know, behavior is a massive part of, you know, how they conduct themselves. You know, normally when a child has SEN needs, maybe like autism or dyslexia, Asperger's, ADHD, I could go on, right? Yeah.
Down syndrome.
Yeah. But I find a lot of them, you know, there are behavior needs. But in terms of teaching, when you actually teach them, do they find it difficult to, you know, focus and understand, and how's that for you as well mentally as a teacher because obviously you've got, I suppose, a normalized young person who's, I suppose, fully functioning to a degree.
Neurotypical,
Yeah, who can, you know, listen, taking what the teacher's saying. Miss, puts his hand at Miss. What about A, B, C, D, you know, etc. But then you've got the other young person who may be undiagnosed, and he's thinking, rah, what did Miss B just say just now? I don't know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Right? Yeah. So how's that for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I think, you know, when I started teaching, I was like really young, and I wanted to save the world. So I wanted the baddest kids.
Yeah.
Because I believed that I could just change them.
Yep.
And within that context, when you say the baddest kids, you're talking about a lot of kids with special needs, behavioural difficulties and everything. So I did my first year at a school, and then I said, no, I'm going to go to an SEMH school or a pupil referral unit. So for me, I quickly learned that, okay, this is a little bit different. But then I was able to engage a lot with those students, and then I kind of found that field. But over time, I think that now, and that was during the time as well where, yes, you'd have a class of 30, like I said, and maybe within that class, you might just have 5 kids who are it's written that they've got autism or Asperger's, etc. And then maybe you've got another 5 who haven't been diagnosed, and everyone just thinks, oh, this kid's bad, or this kid doesn't listen in class. But now it's changed where actually you would say in a SEMH school or in a pupil referral unit, the whole class has got learning needs.
Some form of difficulty.
So now how do you now work around that? For me personally, I've not found it hard. I've taught some at the scale of students I've had, and also because now I'm actually entering their homes. I've seen the worst behaviour I've ever seen, and I've also seen the best behaviour, and I've also seen kids who supposedly don't have any needs, being the worst in terms of the way they treat their parents, beating up their parents. I've been in those situations. And then I've had a kid who's autistic, who's Downs, and they love learning. They are. So it's all very different, I think.
Would the both of you say there's a stereotype stigma? Especially, okay. All right, so as you both know, I work for the Youth Offending Service or the Youth Justice System, okay, right? And you know, there's 80% of youth offenders or young offenders are from Black, African minority, ethnic groups.
Is that because of the area, though? You have to think about what area are you based in?
But this is just on a whole in the UK or in London,
Wow.
So it's not just like one, like north, south, east, or west.
Okay.
But the boys often, especially in terms of special educational needs or autism in particular, seem to have the SEN needs more than the girls. I don't know why that is, but I know with the minority groups that is anyway. So is there a stigma in terms of the stereotype when it comes to SEN, and as you said just now, their behavior? Because I think you're right as well. There are specific children who, you know, maybe have, let's say autism, for example, and yes, in your line of work, you might get like a report or an EHCP plan, and then like you read the report on the young person now, right? And sometimes there's also a bias in sometimes who's writing the report and the way they've written it as well.
I think when you talk about stigma, I think is relative to their context and also their background as well. So for example, I know that with myself, since I've been doing this for like 12 years, some people from some backgrounds are not accepting of their child having special educational needs.
Right, yeah.
And that makes things very difficult.
Yes.
So even for our community, for example, I've dealt with a lot of parents where the school have flagged that they may have some additional needs, so then they go and put them on the S.E.N register. But if their needs are not being met through that, then they have to apply for educational healthcare plan.
Right, okay.
But the trouble is, some of the parents have to consent for that application to go through.
Okay.
And we have some parents that we've dealt with where my son, there's nothing wrong with my son, there's nothing wrong with my daughter. What are you talking about? I'm not signing that. You just want to put a label on my child, blah, blah, blah. And I get their frustration. It is a very hard thing. I'm not a parent, but I imagine if I was a parent, if you're coming to tell me my child's got X, Y, and Z, it will be very hard to accept that. But the longer you delay that acceptance, then you delay them getting the help and the support that they really need. Because the position that I'm at in the local authority, I agree streams of funding. So if the parent gets told and approached by the teacher or the Senko that your son, daughter has special education needs at 5 years old, and it's gone there like in year 2, by the time they get to year 6 or year 7, if the parent only just accepts it then they're going to get that help and support a lot later. And what happens in that time, the needs may have got more challenging, and the school, because you are not providing the school with the right reports and information on how to manage that behavior, they're going to struggle. Now you're putting your child at risk of getting maybe permanently excluded, or they might at risk of getting bullied, or their mental health is getting impacted. There's so many different things. So there's definitely a stigma in certain communities. It's like almost like, it's more like shame and embarrassment. But I do think over time, there's a little bit more of an acceptance around it. Whether it's social media, maybe it's the news, or other people in schools are a lot more open about it as well.
It's funny, I was with so like 2 weeks ago, with one of my young people, went to the park. To cut the story short, the school rang me, said, Robert, he's kicking off. So went down to the school. I goes, right, let's go Boots, let's go and buy a meal deal sandwich. Let's go and talk. So we went to the park. So he said to me, oh, sorry, guess what? I said, what? Yeah, you see that autism thing, yeah? This is how we say that. Yeah, you know that autism thing? I said, yeah, boy, I think I've got it, you know. Because is it? Bruh, so how'd you feel? Boy, he said, is it sensory? I said, what's that? Oh, you mean sensory? Yeah? He said, yeah. Boy, do you know what? I keep wearing this jumper all the time and it's got a hole in it, right, yeah? And he said, I think I've got sensory. No, it's sensory, right, yeah?
Okay.
So, but the thing is, they're understanding it now, you know. And then he was showing me like one group chat with him and some other young people. And they were talking about, nah, man, yeah, you're weird. You got that autism thing, right, yeah? But when you hear them talk about it now, it's now becoming quite normalized now. But before they were like taking the mickey out of each other. So I think it's very much becoming quite normalized where they're understanding and they're having conversations about it now. But what's it like for yourself in terms of the possible stigma and stereotype and dealing with the parents as well?
Yeah, I think I'm going to even be a little bit more specific with some of the cultures. But within, I would say, a lot of Africans, they find this so hard. A lot of church-going Africans.
Is it pride?
No, they think it's spiritual.
Oh, okay.
They think it's some sort of demon.
Right.
And my child needs the demon to come out of that child.
Yeah. I've heard that before,
They think it's a neighbor or someone in their village from God knows where.
I've heard
has got a curse.
The thing is, but that's
Village people.
the thing is, that's
Village
true,
people, facts,
You know, because I spoke on the teacher surgery one time where we had a student whose parent decided to lock them in the room, not give them food, put the Bible in front of them, and beat the demons supposedly out of them, because the boy, I think, was because he was autistic. He ended up in hospital. a whole lot of other things ended up, and he ended up having a mental breakdown.
Oh, poor
as
thing,
well.
man. Yeah.
So I think, and it is really difficult because you've got pastors who, I remember being somewhere and the pastor said, and there's no such thing as dyslexia. There are pastors that will say it's a demon. So these are things, and I'm only talking from the perspective that I know.
Yeah.
Even so, dealing with African parents concerning autism, ADHD, lack of understanding, and I know, like you said, it's on the internet and stuff. They don't want to know. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
This is not a generalization.
You're right. No, you're right.
I'm just saying within the context of some of the cultural differences. Yes, I find obviously an English person, white English, sometimes they're a little bit more
open.
Sometimes they're desperate to say that their child has got something, and yet it's just behaviour. And they'll say, no, my kid's got, he's got autism, he's got ADHD, he's got, and you do the assessment and you realise, no, it's just that he's just messes around.
Could it also be lack of information, lack of education, lack of not knowing?
I think like Nana said,
could it be that as well?
I think it's a mixture of all, but I think it's also that stigma, and people are ashamed, and I don't know why and I think that if they just would understand that a child having autism doesn't stop their journey. It just might take a little bit longer. It may be just a bit different, but it doesn't stop their journey from where they're going.
But that bit there, you see what you said there?
Yeah.
That's the bit there. It's the worry, because they're thinking, oh my gosh, my son, he's got sensory issues, or he's non-vocal, or and they're thinking 10 years down the line instead of thinking about now, and they're thinking, oh my God, this is bad. And as we know, in the Caribbean and African community, right, people love to chat, don't they? To a degree, right?
Well, I would say every community.
Every
gossip
community,
is
basically.
gossip. Conversation is conversation. Asian people would tell you the same thing, that this is a stick. But because within, I think a lot of Asian people are a little bit more accepting of, because it's been within their community. A lot of them have seen it within their own, because there even in Newham, there's quite a few schools that deal with who've got special needs schools, and the population of those kids are usually Asian.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I've worked in a few. So, yeah.
It's the thing is also, what doesn't help as well is the way the process is in terms of special educational needs, in terms of systematic. So that's like a whole other journey as well. So I think part of the lack of acceptance is that once you accept this, it's like loads of assessments, loads of reports, loads of appointments. There's even still no guarantee that once you get all of the support, that you're gonna see a positive outcome as well. So it's challenging. The thing is, for me, because I worked on the ground, and I've only worked in the special schools. I've never worked in a mainstream school in my life. I worked in 2 schools, one in East London, one in South East London. And both schools were for children with autism. So I worked on the ground, and then I went behind the scenes now, doing what I'm doing now, doing the funding, the politics, quality assurance, all of that stuff. Now I'm on the other side of the fence, I see why parents are like, oh, this process is just... If you've got if you've got like 4 children, the first 3 of them, they haven't got any additional needs or special needs. Then you got the last one, and now you have to go through so many meetings, it's a lot for parents to cope with as well. So I think that's part of it as well. So part of the reluctance to accept is knowing that you're gonna have to go down this whole new process. You're gonna have to speak to a speech and language therapist. Never supposed to speak to a language therapist in your life, because all your other children never had that need. Now it's something different. They have to, it's another challenge.
But then I would also say, and this is something again within the community, the reason why that's a long process, even with the children, you're saying the 3 children that don't have their needs, they don't even turn up for parents' evening for those children. They're not even there for those children. That's a big thing in the community.
Really?
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
There are, and I know you can say, I I've got 2 jobs, so I haven't got time.
Yeah.
But it's your child.
Of course, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Sometimes you have to say no to the extra hours just to find out what is going on with your child. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't take parents. I mean, the thing is, you can phone the school. If you can't make a parents' evening, you can literally, what does it take you to phone the school on your lunch break?
5 minutes, not even that.
To say, I can't make a parents' evening, but I just want to know, how is my son doing in school? How is my daughter doing in school? Are there any things that you think could be better or could... And there will be a teacher willing to talk to you. Yeah, they'll talk through your lunch break, but they will talk to you. But how many parents are doing that? They're not doing it. And I really, that's something I think needs to change.
I'm going to ask you both a question, okay, yeah, because right now in 2025, in fact, you know, I'm even going to go back as far as since COVID, right, yeah? So let's say in the last 5 years, the world has changed so much.
Significantly.
Right, yeah, massively.
Yeah.
In terms of society, financial, the cost of living, just everything's, we've had about 100 prime ministers, do you know what I mean? Like things have just changed so much, do you know what I mean? People's behavior, mental health, well-being, the government, you know, society, our area, you know, everyone's having difficulty with families, and partners are breaking up, and, you know, domestic violence, and, you know, so much has happened, right, yeah? And I've noticed there's been a massive bombardment of kind of negative behavior surrounding education, yeah? You know, we've had a lot of different programs and documentaries, and, you know, we've seen the knife crime in the schools, or young people bringing in knives into the schools. We're seeing, you know, the presence of teachers maybe not teaching students at the high level of education that should be taught as well. What's your views on education right now? Like, you know, where do you see education, you know? And obviously, you know, we've got S.E.N schools, we've got PRUs, we've got mainstream schools, we've got different variation of different schools. But where do you see education right now in 2025? As I said before, a lot has happened, you know. But sometimes I feel unjustly so, that I do feel schools are under a lot of pressure. I feel teachers are under a lot of pressure. And I feel sometimes society, you know, so you might watch big BBC or GMTV, and then you've got some guy now, and he just starts talking about, oh, yes, teachers, and, you know, and I'm just thinking, bruv, have you worked in a school before? Have you ever set foot in a school? Like, this isn't 1970, blah, blah, blah. This is 2020. So what's your opinion on education as professionals, and maybe personally as well? How do you feel about education right now?
I think that I feel for teachers a lot, because I feel that one of the main things that I think is a big issue is the retention of teachers, especially like really good teachers, because there's so many elements to teaching. I never was ever a qualified teacher, but I've worked in enough schools to know what a lot of the work they do. A lot of the time when I was a teaching assistant, I'll rock up to school at 9:15. The teacher I'm working with, she's been there since 7 a.m. So she's prepping, doing the lesson plans. Where I'm working in a special school, you got like risk assessments that you need to do. There's a lot of paperwork and stuff you have to do before you actually teach.
A lot.
Apart from me, a lot of it, I don't think the teaching is even that bad. It's all of the other stuff that surrounds it as well. There's a lot of expectations as well. I remember I mentioned to you guys before I watched Adolescence. I remember the head teacher said something poignant, and he said, oh, am I expected to be a social worker as well? Or I think it's a social worker or another profession. So they're having to like wear so many different hats, and where they're taking on a lot of young people that have such a wide range of needs. It's very hard to actually, it's probably more harder to teach now, because
100%.
From my side, my context is, so right now, between up and statutory school ages up until age 16, so every young person needs to be in some form, needs to be in education. So if they've got special educational needs, if the special schools are full to the brim, we need to place them in a mainstream school. So now, a lot of kids that
or they come to people like myself who do the home...
to do home learning. So a lot of these young people should be in a special school, but because there's no space, they're now getting dumped in a mainstream school somebody like myself will just give them X amount of thousand. Here you have like maybe like 15 grand. Now you got a one-to-one TA, crack on, deal with it.
Yeah.
But if your teacher's not part of that discussion, they're never part of any discussion that we make in terms of placing young people in that school.
Okay. Yeah.
If anything, the Senko knows and the head teacher knows. So maybe a teacher's got a class of, let's say, 27 kids. After Easter break, they might have, oh yeah, by the way, you got 2 more kids in your class.
Yeah.
They ain't got no say. They've got no power. They got no autonomy. They got no direction. So I think it's very hard for teachers. I know people go on and about they get loads of holidays and stuff like that. But in their day-to-day, there's a lot of pressure. A lot of them start early.
Listen,
and
they're trying to reduce a holiday from 6 to 4 weeks, you know?
No,
I don't know if you heard about that.
No, I haven't even heard that. I'm not, oh gosh.
That's crazy.
I'm not having that. Got to have my 6 weeks.
The retention for teachers is a massive problem. They've changed it. So before, you had to do like the NQT test, and I think you used to get 3 chances to do
3 chances,
the maths test, and after that you're done. Now it's unlimited, so that's showing they're desperate to get teachers in. And what's happening as well, a lot of teachers are coming into teaching school, they're not qualified.
Yeah.
They're not qualified, but some of them keep it hush. But there's a desperation to like recruit and on board. But even when you recruit and on board, if I'm a head teacher now, and I employ you to be my teacher and you're starting in September, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, you might not be around in 2 years.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
But I think that, you know, like you said, there's so many things going on with teaching. And it's not even just the special needs students. It's not even...
It's as a whole, isn't
it's the as a whole.
Yeah, as a whole, yeah.
It's what's requested of you. It's even in some of the schools now. You go in and maybe there are 2 admin staff. Before, there were, you know, phone calls home.
5 or 6 people. Yeah.
I don't remember as a kid my teacher phoning home. I'd remember the woman in the office phoning home to say something.
Yeah.
Right, so now these teachers have got a phone home. Then on top of that, they've got to do reports. Then on top of that, they're teaching. Sometimes, you know, there are children in the class who safeguarding issues are going on at home. There are children in the class. I remember teaching in one school, and there was this kid, you know, in my class. That kid wasn't the age, was not the age that was supposed to be in year 9. This kid, because he'd come from another country, he was meant to be in primary school.
Yeah.
And do you know, no one, and I ended up flagging it up to another. I said, this kid there's no way he's in year 9. This is the behaviour. He's a primary school kid, you know. And then they said, oh, because the grandmother couldn't speak English. The boy was living in the village and so forth. And that was, so, I mean, and then you've got the opposite. You've got a kid, you're thinking he's in year 10. You're thinking, mate, how old are you? You're 21. He's got a big voice. No, you know.
Big beard and everything.
Big man.
Somebody's dad.
Someone's dad or someone's uncle even.
Yeah.
That's, you know, on top of that. And then you've got things, you know, and then you've got, you know, children that are with all these things and they want to learn and you want to bring an exciting lesson, you know, you want to do different group work and this and that. So there is so much demands in the classroom and in school.
I want to ask you something as well, right? Yeah. So, you know, this is from SLT, head of years, maybe even teacher management or the actual head teacher, right? Yeah. As we know, in a workplace, creating a good atmosphere or a positive workplace with good energy and it's important, isn't it? Right? Yeah. A lot of my teacher friends, and maybe ex-teacher colleagues will say to me sometimes that they feel under pressure from that, or sometimes they don't feel that they've been given the freedom as a teacher because remember, teaching is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
To some degree, I agree. I agree.
You're meant to come in and be dynamic, and the kids love the lesson. They've learned something new. It's refreshing. You've got joy out of, oh, that kid that normally,
Yes.
you know, is not engaged. Wow, he answered
Yeah.
4 questions
Yeah,
today.
that's
You
right,
know,
yeah.
that's
That's it, yeah.
excitement. Yeah.
But, you know, I'm the voice of the young people, you know, and I talk to a lot of young people.
Yeah.
And I asked them, at school today, like, what did you learn? Oh. And it's like,
Yeah.
when I ask them, it's like, they haven't learned anything or they don't want to talk about it.
Mm.
But if you want to talk about Top Boy now or last night's football, oh yeah, man, did you see Mo Salah last night?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, forget that. What did you learn today? Like, and I'm on them, you know, what did you learn today? And it's like, they can't even tell me, you know. I'm just thinking, you're not learning, you know. So, I don't know, has the fun out of teaching gone? Because, I don't know, sometimes I find our young people, and this has got nothing to do with culture or what background, this is just in general, right, yeah? I'm getting that the fun has gone, or, I don't know, I just feel something's missing, that zap, that oomph.
Yeah.
I think it's adapting, but I think that goes for anything. But I think schools, teachers, everything needs to adapt, not conform, but you have to adapt to what is going on. When we was in secondary school, had like an overhead projector.
Yeah.
There'll be different. There'll be
projector.
There'll be
Taking it back a bit.
Yeah, trust me, I'm exposing our ages. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but there was different things that, you know, you'll be excited for different things. Personally, when I was in school, I was excited to go to, I love to go into school every day.
Yeah.
Even like, but I enjoyed most subjects. I was never like super bright, but I was never the bomb, just in the middle. The only thing I probably struggled with a lot was maths.
Oh, God.
But
Tell
even
me
with
about it.
maths, I had a brilliant maths teacher in year 10 and 11. He made me change
That's amazing.
how I used to see maths and stuff. But it's just about adapting and flexibility, because that maths teacher, even though I hated maths, he was very flexible, he was very welcoming, he was very open, and very encouraging as well. So obviously secondary and primary school, secondary you got different subject teachers. Primary school you got one teacher for almost everything, unless it's like PE or something. Maybe you might have a PE teacher. It's about being flexible, I think.
I think it is about being flexible. I think there are a lot of teachers who are literally getting bullied by SLT, and they feel really pressured.
Really?
I remember I was teaching in a school, and out of nowhere, you know, you're teaching these kids. Firstly, they've put they've actually put the lesson up on the whiteboard. So you've got to follow that rule. Like you can't have you can do a little bit of different, and there's a timer on it. You've got to So, and then SLT would walk in. This was an academy. SLT will walk in any time and start standing there at the back, seeing what's going on,
watching.
And then I just I felt like I was I wasn't able to be myself. And we were doing text, Jekyll and Hyde. We were doing text and inspector calls. And these kids, a lot of them in the class, firstly, English wasn't their first language. They didn't even understand aims and objectives. They didn't understand certain things. But I felt like I wasn't able to even explain that because everything was on a timer. And the kids would laugh. They'd say, "Miss, you've gone over time." Because they were so used to the structure. And I'd be like, what is this? And so that was quite difficult. But I'd say even within a lot of schools, the teachers are going through so much. You know, we had a case where I remember one teacher, he would just come in drunk.
What?
Yeah, in the end, he was an alcoholic. I mean, he was...
And
the kids could smell that. They could smell the liquor on his breath.
Can
I ask you a question before you continue?
Yeah.
What you said just now.
Yeah, and he liked rum too, Ray and nephew.
Oh my days. Smelling that from the car park.
He had a good choice of liquor though.
Ray, he was trying to be finished.
Listen, we drink that after, not now.
Work drinks before work. That's crazy.
Before and after, innit? So what you said just now, I've heard that generically from so many teachers, right? Yeah. Has the education system become regimented?
Yeah, and it's because the heads at top as well, they're being micromanaged. Everybody's being, and this isn't even to do with Ofsted, you know. No. And then again, you've got academies trying to outshine another academy.
Ticking boxes.
You've got like the way they will work you. You don't realise as a teacher, like you stay, like you said, you're coming in at 7 in the morning. I remember one time the caretaker locked me in. He was so angry because he hated the fact that, look, everyone else goes home, at 4 o'clock, and you're still here doing. Because I used to think to myself, well, what? I'm not going home to do my marking, so I'm going to stay here. And he hated me, and he ends up looking. And I remember having to call people to come and get me out, the other caretaker. But that's how that's what I'm saying. So teachers are, and then you find sometimes in the weekends, everyone's going out, everyone's going to this. You can't even go to an Usher concert. You can't go to these things because you're. My God, I've got key stage 3 assignments need to be handed in on such and such. So
the thing is, do you know why there's pressure as well? There's a hierarchy thing as well in schools. So the TA, teacher, it'd be head of maths or head of other subjects. And then it will be like head of year. Yeah. So it's like, and it just trickles all the way down to the point where obviously there was that head teacher, she offed herself because of Ofsted, because of that. The pressure is from it's hard. But again, my experience, I worked in special schools. Yeah. Special schools are a bit different to mainstream schools.
No, they are.
Special schools are more, from my experience, again, I've only worked in 2 schools. It's more family based. It's more close knit. Because the classes, you might have max 8 kids in a class. Yeah. But then you got like 4 TAs and you got a teacher. So everybody is like picking up everybody's slack. Is like.
But it's changing because those schools are becoming academies.
Yes.
They're becoming part of an academy. So they still want results. And what you're finding, this is the other thing that's quite sad, is so within mainstream school, you might have say within a classroom, you might have 10 students who have got SEMH needs, right? Yeah. But these students, they've got SEMH needs and stuff, but they're high functioning. There's a big guarantee that this student, he's got whatever or she's got whatever, but they're going to get an 8, definitely, right? So what they do, oh no, you're not having SEMH, that school. No, you're not going to have that student.
Right, okay.
We're going to do everything we can to keep that student here.
Oh, do you know, I'm so happy.
So that our GCSE results are going to be high. Yeah, it's the same thing with behaviour. So you got a kid who's terrorising the school, but he's a genius in maths. Yeah, he's a genius in English, geography, whatever subject. Yeah, and we know that when we sit him down, he's going to get us a 9. Yeah. So you know what? But this other kid, he's not as bad, but we don't. He's going to get us a 2 or a 3. Do you know what? We'll refer him. Yeah. That is going on a lot.
That's very true.
You know,
I'm going to ask both of you a question, right? Yeah. And this is quite relatable to exactly what both of you are saying. Yeah. And I'm going to say this very slowly so everyone can hear me properly. And I want you to take in, yeah? Because this is quite a political question I'm about to ask, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Is the school education system a business? Because you don't want to scare parents, But I've had conversations with other professionals, and sometimes as professionals, we have to look at what's going on here. So you see what you said just now. Yeah. You might have a Timmy. Yeah. Timmy's kicking off in the classroom, but Timmy is bright. Yeah. Yeah. Now, in some schools, some people may refer to certain schools as a business model. Yeah? Yeah. I need to make sure that the graph is saying 30% in my school. Yeah. I need to make sure this ratio of 40% year 9s are getting A's and B's. Do you understand where I'm coming from now? Mm-hmm. So I'm asking both of you, is school a business?
There are some schools that will not take students if they realise, hold on a minute, this student's not going to guess. So, because we have got a reputation of always having an 85% pass rate or 90% pass rate. Yeah. So they will pick the creme de la creme. They know they have to pick some S.E.N students, but they'll pick the ones that they feel, okay, that one's still going to get a GCSE. Yeah. So yes and no. Yeah, yes and no. Okay. I think there are some academies. I'm not just going to say academies, schools, because I don't just want to. Overall, I suppose, there are some definite, clear signs this is a business. And some of the students that I'm now working with, I've realized it's a business because why have I got this kid?
Yeah.
You know, but then there are some schools, but I think that's again the pressure because they need funding.
Yeah.
And then there are some schools that no, I would say they don't see it as a business. They see it as, you know, they still want their school to be successful, but they're not in competition.
And you know, so before you continue, Nana, because, all right, I'm going to be honest, like, you know, me, I just tell it as it is, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've worked in a school. I've worked in an ASD school where I've seen young people spit at teachers. I'm thinking, wow, what? Right, yeah? Or hit teachers, you know, and
it goes down.
like, you know, verbally and physically. And yes, they're in an S.E.N school. Some schools, some of the students are like in mainstream school. And I'm thinking, why is this head teacher not getting rid of this child? Now, I know this may not be the terminology get rid of, yeah, but why has no strategy been put in place for this young person to improve his behavior? As we said, there might be stuff going on at home, but let's get a grip. Let's police the situation somehow, some way to help this young person with his education, because the behavior is now overshadowing the education. Do you know what I mean? So,
Funding.
when you talk with parents, and then, you know, sometimes it could be a teaching assistant, we're realizing this is like a business, like, because and I don't mean to sound bad or controversial, but this is just the reality of conversations that we have as professionals. Do you know what I mean? We're not mentioning any names or schools, but it's an ethos that is going throughout the UK in the school education system to a degree. Do you know what I mean? What about local authority? Because
so like Nyasha said, so there's definitely ultimately what we hope to do is obviously put support in place to allow young people with special educational needs to make a level of progress, whether it's in their behavior, communication, in whatever area they need to improve and to hopefully move on. But there are a lot of elements of business.
How much, sorry to just cut you, because I've always wanted to know, how much is each child?
It varies. It varies according to their needs and their placement as well. Typically, if a child goes to...
I could tell you, but
Yeah.
see, right, do you know, without being controversial, you know, there's some conversations that you want to have, but no, in fact, shall I say it or not? Okay, I'm gonna say it. Okay, no, in fact, no, we'll say it. All right, I do apologize for cutting in. Right,
Go.
No, in fact, no, you go first, and then I'll continue after.
Yeah, there is an element of business in it. So I've
You didn't answer my
agreed.
question. How much is each child? Is a particular child
ranges.
with special needs?
So
A budget, roughly.
So mainstream children that have special educational needs, that have an educational healthcare plan, some of them that are placed in some mainstream schools can get starting from, they can get like $7,000.
Yeah, okay.
But then depending on the severity of their needs, it can go up to like 20 grand.
Okay.
But that's depending on the local authority, because some local authorities have a bigger budget,
Yeah.
and sometimes the schools can get more money out of the local authority. But then you've got independent school settings.
Yeah.
So like I said, I've started working in special needs 2012.
Yeah.
It's 2015. That's when I went into like local authority, and I saw that we were using a lot of independent school settings that were based out of borough.
Right.
And they are very expensive. So I'm talking about, I've had schools that are based in just outside of London that are costing like 70 grand per head. It could be
70 grand per child?
Yeah, per child, yeah.
And we pay that every year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every single year.
Am I right in saying that if the young person is also in care, they get a thing called pupil premium, which is added. So I think if a child's also, so let's say that you might have a child that has autism or EHCP plan, but they're also in care, that they also get more money as well, or more care, or more care support as well. But remember, some young people who may be in a wheelchair or find it hard to walk, right here, transportation as well is also included, and I know that gets included along with the actual...
Yeah, but so some of those young people, so some that are on a wheelchair got specific healthcare needs.
Yeah.
Some of their places are tri-funded. So they're funded by health, social care and education. So we'll pay for like the educational placement. Then we got health that oversees some of their healthcare needs as well. But then as part of their education funding we've placed, they've already got like a school nurse in the school, or they have like healthcare visitors. It just all depends on the individual young person. But when I mean business model, one thing that I will say is since COVID, I've noticed a lot of these independent special schools where before COVID, they were charging like 40 grand per head. Now they're charging like 60 or 65 per head. And also the process for getting these school places that somebody that I manage has to consult with that school and they have to send a formal response in 15 days. And then sometimes the school will come back and be like, we can meet this child's needs, but there isn't enough space. But if I just make the right call, I can be like, yo, if we just give you an extra 10 grand till the end of the academic year, will you please go on then? That's when I mean it's a business. It's like entering like negotiations. Like I've done that before a few times. I've like called the school. I'm like, come on, I saw the email, but before I email you back, are you alright if let's say we want the placement to start in January. It's a typically a 40 grand placement, but because they're full, they're saying that we haven't got space. But if I call that head teacher, be like, yo, can we put 10k top up until the end of the academic year? They'll be like, I'll go on then.
You know,
I can't even tell you what that 10k is being used for.
Because you know what I was also going to say, that the other side of the fact that you can see some sort of business is because I will be tutoring a student but yet they're on the school register. Now I get paid. I mean, I'm not their learning support. I'm a teacher. So I get paid, and then why are they not? Some of these kids, they've been on the register for 2 years. They've been excluded from the school. I'm now their actual teacher. Why are they still on the register at school?
I don't get that. If they're permanently excluded, they should be off the register.
No, that is a big thing that's been happening. Most of my students, they are still on the school register, even though I'm the one teaching them.
They call it off roll. So it's almost so basically it's like they're still part of the school, but they've been taught off site, even though they're still.
That's fine.
Because I've worked with children that in certain schools where they're still part of Class 1B, for example. Now, right? Don't know. It could be Timmy, but Timmy has been taught at home, so he hasn't been excluded. So I think what it is, if they've been permanently excluded.
No, some of the students I've had have been permanently excluded, but the school still has them on roll.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you that has happened. Even the parents have said, well, I don't get how comes, you know, because then the child is not allowed, the child is not allowed anywhere near the school. The child is not allowed to engage with the school. And maybe like, for example, and then I was thinking, is it because the attendance, because who gets to claim the attendance? I don't. I'm the one getting your kit, because obviously when I do home tuition, most of the students, because it's one-to-one, they love it. They kind of, I mean, in general, I've had some cases where it's not been successful, but generally they like it. So the attendance suddenly, boom, goes straight up. So it can even go to 90%. Now, the school initially had that student and they was getting him or her 40%. And so then that attendance goes up. Then their success rate. I've had a few where I've ended up, they've done their English GCSE or their maths and they've passed.
Okay.
And then I don't get the success rate.
The school gets it.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm thinking, what's going on? Because how does this work? Because you didn't really, you weren't his maths teacher. You know, I mean, not necessarily maths because that's not my speciality, but you weren't his English teacher and you weren't his history teacher. So how is he or she, they've passed, but the school have now said,
taking credit for
it. But once again, that's the politics behind.
There's a lot of politics.
Education,
so many.
Local authority or, you know, the school system, do you know what I mean? But guys, listen, today's been absolutely amazing, right? Yeah, listen, you're both coming back.
For sure.
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you,
You see, we're being micromanaged now.
I know, right?
Bullied as well.
Where's HR, man?
Where's HR?
They're coming back. Because as I said before, this is the start of loads of educational episodes. We're going to have panels. We're going to have the whole teacher surgery podcast, or as many of them come on, because we've got a lot to talk about. Listen, today's not even enough, right? Yeah. We're going to be talking about the school curriculum, because I've got a big say on that, with how I feel, We're going to be talking about our teachers, are they role models anymore? You know? Like, like there's so, like, as I said before, you're coming back.
Yeah.
Nana,
We've got a few things to delve into.
Nana, there's so much we got to talk about. S.E.N is massive right now.
Yeah.
But guys, I want to say thank you.
No, it's been a pleasure.
I've learned a lot today as well. Where can we find you?
So you can find us on all social media platforms.
Yep.
So the at the Teacher's Surgery.
At the Teacher Surgery.
Yeah. So, and also just a quick before you, if you are a parent who's experiencing, if your child is experiencing bullying, if you're not happy with the school, if you've got any issues or problems, just send us an email at thesocialworkerandmentor@thesocialworkerandmentor.gmail.com,
Right.
and we can come to come and help you, be advocates for you. Yeah.
Right. What I'll do, I'll make sure that your details are on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
And then they'll be able to contact you guys. Yeah. So parents, if you're looking for an advocate or help or support, the Teacher Surgery podcast supply a service to help you with any, school passer or drama.
Yeah. And we can be your voice.
They can be a voice. Nana, yourself?
You can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn at SEN_bytes, so BYTES. So any schools, local authorities, parents, even young people with special educational needs can reach out to me for any consultation or any form of advice.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm doing this new thing now, because I said to Nana the other day, but we got to switch up this thing now, You know what I mean? Sometimes you could be a bit too corporate and a bit too stiff up, and sometimes you have to just change things, right? Yeah. So I want to end this with one gem from you each, right? Yeah. All right. So, what would you like to see added to the in your line of work, which is SEN? What is one thing that you'd like to see change, negative or positive?
There needs to be more consistency with multi-agency working.
Okay.
So there needs to be more cohesion between other services that support children and young people with special educational needs.
Okay.
So social workers, I don't see any teachers being involved in SEN processes. A lot of it falls on the SENCO or the head teacher.
Okay.
But we've got young people with special needs that have educational healthcare plans that are known to social care. They've got health issues, but when you come to the meetings, it's just the parent might turn up and the SENCO might turn up, and that's it. So it needs to be a lot more cohesion, but it's hard because other services
of course
are pressured. So I just want to see more people working together to get more positive outcomes.
Okay.
I just want to say that parents, we need you. We appreciate all that you're doing, and we know it's really difficult to raise children, but we're here as the Teacher Surgery to help you in terms of, so what I would say is, parents, try and get involved, phone up the school, try and find out what's going on with your child. If you can't make a parents' evening, phone the school and say to the teacher, say to any of the teachers, I want to know, could you send me a progress report, or could you talk to me about my child? Parents, get involved with school. School is not something don't be afraid of teachers. Don't let them fob you off. Get involved with your school.
You heard it, yeah? That's gem after gem. Guys, amazing, right? Yeah. Guys, you know where to follow us. The Social Worker and the Mentor. Big up my brother Nana. As I said before, we've got more
where
coming.
Where is Nana? We're missing him.
Yeah, man. Listen, I done told you you're coming back,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so these guys will be coming back again. Nana will be here. We're just trying to, make education the vocal point. As I said before, we've been really neglecting education, but education is important. I mean,
Works.
as I said, there's a lot coming, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, so you're coming back.
Okay.
All right, peace.